Good evening. Wait a minute, Kirk. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Harrisburg City Council Legislative Session today, Thursday, May 30th, 2019. Calling this meeting to order at 6:10. Mr. Petrosky, please do the roll call.
Mr. Allett? Present. Ms. Bowers? Ms. Daniels? Ms. Green?
Present.
Mr. Madsen? Here. Mr. Majors?
Here.
Ms. Williams?
Present. Thank you, Mr. Petrosky. At this time, Ms. Bowers and Ms. Daniels are excused today. Moving on to the invocation, Mr. Madsen.
Good evening. Just want to do a moment of silence for the Rash family. Tragically, Ron Rash has passed away. And prayers for the Baker family. Mr. David Baker, our Parks and Rec director, his father went through an accident and went through surgery today, so he is with his father at the moment. We want to send our thoughts and prayers to him. And a thought and moment of prayer for the families affected by yesterday's inclement weather. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Madsen. Moving on to Pledge Allegiance, Mr. Allett.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Allett. Moving on to communications, we have none tonight. And we'll move on to courtesy of the floor. I'll start to my right. Seeing there's no one there, I'll start in the middle. Anyone who would like to come to the mic, too, please do so now.
Good evening. I'm Daniel D. Graham, 217 North 2nd Street in Harrisburg. First, the storm sewer drainage is still a problem at some street corners, especially at Market Square in front of the county building. Again, when it pours down rain, that corner gets filled up with water and forms a lake there. And some of the other street corners also at Market Square and at 2nd and Chestnut. I see that it did put new storm drain covers in, and some of the storm drains apparently have been cleaned out. That's good, but keep it up. The storm drains need to be cleaned out frequently because, again, when it pours down rain, a lot of big puddles out there, and unless you have a pair of good boots on, you step lively. You have to step live on tiptoe. It's like tiptoeing through the tulips, walking among those puddles. So, again, let's keep the storm drains cleaned out. And also, I suggest, as much as possible, in front of the Hilton Hotel, the walkway could be redesigned so that the pedestrian plaza walkway could slant from the hotel building, that the walkway could slant downward toward the street so that all the water runs down immediately right into the street instead of laying around and forming big puddles. If you notice, when you walk along North 2nd Street, in front of the restaurants and other businesses, most of the walkways are like that. They slant downward from the building. The walkway slants downward right into the street, and the water runs down. And again, the water runs down from the building right into the street right away and into the storm drains, and that's good. Good. Also, I have a suggestion about providing free parking for Amtrak train passengers coming to the station and getting on the train here in Harrisburg. One lady who I was talking to, who rides the Amtrak trains, sometimes from Harrisburg, and sometimes she drives to the Middletown station for free parking. And this lady told me that sometimes when she comes to the Amtrak station to get on the train here in Harrisburg, she has a hard time finding a parking place because, like, around the Amtrak station here, she says sometimes the parking spaces are filled up. I don't know if she's tried that new transit park, but that's outside. So I suggest provide one floor of the Chestnut Street garage for free parking for Amtrak train passengers with their train tickets and who are getting on the train here in Harrisburg. I suggest provide free parking for their autos on one floor of the Chestnut Street garage, maybe 2 floors if it's possible, but at least 1 floor of the Chestnut Street garage so that they can park their cars in a sheltered building with good security patrols there. And so that for Amtrak train passengers getting on the train here in Harrisburg, so that all they need to do is show their Amtrak train tickets that they're getting on the train here in Harrisburg, and that then they can park their autos free on 1 floor of the Chestnut Street garage, which is right across the street from the Amtrak station. That would be good. And or in another sheltered area close to the Amtrak station. Free parking for Amtrak train passengers. Okay, that's it. And yes, Jesus Christ is Lord. Glory to God. And I thank you for your attention. God bless.
Thank you. Anyone else in the middle, please? Anyone to the left? Thank you. Moving on with the agenda. Approval of minutes. Approval of the legislative session minutes of May 14, 2019. Council members, is there any omissions, deletions, additions? Hearing none, minutes will stand as approved. We move on to reports of committees. Report from Chair Allett on the work session of May 29, 2019. Mr. Allett, are you ready with your report?
Yes, I am. At last night's work session meeting, we discussed Resolution 31 of 2019 is a resolution approving the second proposed 2019 budget reallocation. Up for consideration in this resolution includes numerous transactions. Of note, a receipt of a grant for the Civil War Museum roof that we were receiving, that the Civil War Museum received, and that we were taking that grant and then we were directly expending the funds to be able to pay for the roof. We are setting aside some potential money for a potential contract for a study of I-83. We're also doing a reimbursement to cover expenses for concerts in Riverfront Park. Additionally, we're doing a reimbursement to cover some expenditures to put cameras in some of our trash trucks. We are also consolidating some salaries and expenditures, particularly to increase and create the role for a communications manager, the economic development director, and increase the potential salary for a GIS administrator. We also expended some funds to aid in the roof replacement for the public safety building. Lastly, as part of this budget reallocation, per agreement that we made in the passage of the 2019 budget, where we will expend unused personnel costs each quarter and allocate them to debt service. So this is an allocation from the first quarter, taking unused personnel costs and putting in the debt service fund. I encourage my colleagues to vote in affirmation of this budget reallocation, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Allett. Moving on to report from Chair Daniels on the work session of May 29, 2019. Ms. Bowers is not, Ms. Daniels is not here tonight, so we will have her report on June 11, 2019. Moving on, report from Chair Majors on the work session of May 29, 2019. Mr. Majors, are you ready with your report?
Yes, I am, President Williams.
Thank you.
So yesterday, we had a work session where we considered two resolutions before the Public Works Committee. Resolution 30 of 2019, a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to enter and negotiate into a professional services agreement with Kittleson Associates to perform a traffic and community impact analysis on the proposed I-83 PennDOT project. And Resolution 33, a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to submit a grant application in the amount of $2,240,000 to the Commonwealth Financing Authority for the purpose of funding the Harrisburg East-West Multimodal Connection Project. I'll start with Resolution 33 first. This is a resolution that will help enhance the multimodal connections in our central business district, Walnut Street, Market Street, and Chestnut Street. This is a project that has come before council previously. This is just us providing the ability to apply for the grant funding through the Commonwealth Financing Authority. And we had a brief discussion with Wayne Martin, and I would ask all of my colleagues to vote in the affirmative on Resolution 33. Moving on to Resolution 30. Resolution 30, again, we spoke with the city engineer, Wayne Martin, regarding this proposed professional services agreement with Kittleson Associates. Kittleson is known in the industry for these type of studies, and we were discussing what the amount of money that would be going towards this project, as well as the potential of PennDOT actually being willing to utilize the study that the city would provide to determine whether or not the expansion of I-83 would be in the best interest of the city of Harrisburg and the residents. We asked if Kittleson has been effective in these type of projects in the past. It was explained to us that they've worked on several different projects in Maryland and Pennsylvania to try and make changes to potential roadway projects. The projects that were explained to us that they've worked on, that they were successful with some state, as well as they are currently working with an I-95 project down in Philadelphia. Some of the things that they take into consideration is some dynamic lane usage, as well as trying to find a better way to utilize, excuse me, let me make sure to better utilize, I had all this from flex lanes or shoulder uses, so that we could potentially limit the size of the project. The project currently is proposed to be a 12-lane expansion to take I-83 to 12 lanes through Harrisburg, as well as some changes to the on and off ramps in the city of Harrisburg. I think it's incumbent upon all of us as a city to discuss this even further, to determine whether or not this is something that we need to move forward with. The proposal that was provided to us did not have a timeline in terms of them being able to provide a end study to the city to see if it would be something that would work with the current schedule that PennDOT has for this project. We did receive a timeline yet today from the city engineer, but there also are some additional questions and some conversations that I think members of council would like to have prior to us moving forward on this resolution. So I am asking that we hold off on this resolution until we're able to have those conversations currently, and we can try to see if this is something that we'll be able to work with PennDOT and other officials with, so that they would actually take some of our concerns into consideration as we move forward with this project. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Majors. And just make a note that I did remove Resolution 30 from the agenda, and we will be discussing it again on June 4th at the work session. Moving on to ordinance first reading. Bill 1 of 2019. Mr. Petrosky, please read that into record.
Bill 1 of 2019 was moved by Mr. Madsen, seconded by Ms. Green. It's an ordinance vacating and striking from the official map of the city of Harrisburg various unnamed paper streets within the block bounded by Hamilton Street, North 7th Street, Clinton Street, and Wallace Street between Clinton and Hamilton Street, Clinton Street between North 6th Street and Wallace Street, Cowden Street between Harris and Clinton Street pursuant to Chapter 3-109 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Harrisburg.
That will be placed in Community Economic Development Committee. And we now move on to ordinance for amendment. We have none this evening. And moving on to ordinance for final passage, we have none as well. We move on to resolutions. Resolution 23, Resolution 24, and Resolution 25 of 2019 will be removed from the agenda, and we will put it on the work session for June 4th for further discussion. Moving on to Resolution 31, 2019. Mr. Petrosky, please read that.
Resolution 31 of 2019 was moved by Mr. Allett, seconded by Ms. Bowers. It's a resolution approving the second proposed 2019 budget reallocation.
Council members, any questions or comments on Resolution 31?
Yep.
Mr. Majors?
Just a brief comment. Just want to, I guess, members of council and administration, we work together, and I think where we are with providing funding for an economic development director is a step in the right direction through this resolution. We're also definitely want to give a shout out to our communications manager, soon to be Momin, who has been doing stellar work for the city of Harrisburg, and he's being recognized for that work in this new position as communications manager. And I just would encourage all of my colleagues to support this resolution. That's it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, please call the votes.
Mr. Allett?
Yes.
Ms. Bowers? Ms. Daniels? Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Madsen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes,
Resolution 31 passes.
thank you. Moving on to Resolution 32 of 2019.
Resolution 32 of 2019 was moved by Ms. Daniels, seconded by Ms. Green. It's a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to submit a grant application in the amount of $250,000 to the Commonwealth Financing Authority for the purpose of obtaining match funding for the development of a Chutes and Ladders playground in Reservoir Park.
Council members, any questions or comments? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett?
Yes.
Ms. Bowers? Ms. Daniels? Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Madsen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Resolution 32 passes.
Thank you. Moving on to Resolution 33.
Resolution 33 of 2019 was moved by Mr. Majors, seconded by Mr. Allett. It's a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to submit a grant application in the amount of $2,240,000 to the Commonwealth Financing Authority for the purpose of funding the Harrisburg East-West Multimodal Connection Project.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, council members, on Resolution 33? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett?
Yes.
Ms. Bowers? Ms. Daniels? Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Madsen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Resolution 33 passes.
Thank you. Moving on to Resolution 34.
Resolution 34 of 2019 was moved by Ms. Daniels, seconded by Ms. Green. It's a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to submit a grant application in the amount of $50,000 to the Commonwealth Financing Authority for the purpose of funding a feasibility study for replacing the Jackson Lick and Hall Manor pools with park splash pad installations.
Any concerns, questions, council members? Hearing none, please call the votes.
Mr. Allett?
Yes.
Ms. Bowers? Ms. Daniels? Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Madsen?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Resolution 34 passes.
Thank you. Moving on to Resolution 38.
Resolution 38 of 2019 was moved by Mr. Major, seconded by Mr. Allett. It's a resolution in support of U.S. congressional efforts to enact the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act of 2019 to address climate change in the United States.
And that will be placed in Public Works Committee. Moving on, old business, council members, is there any old business that you would like to mention today? Is there any new business? No new business? Okay. No new business? Oh, this is yours.
Just an update from the Humane Society contract. So far, we've had 12 cats intaken for a cost of $1,628.40. 6 dog intakes for a cost of $732, and 9 pit bull dog intakes, which is remarkably higher at $265 per dog, which came to $2,391.30.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Green, and I gave that to you because it is under public safety. Any other new business? Hearing none. A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.